Nothing is more difficult in our beloved blood-soaked genre than maintaining momentum. Horror films are famously cheap and they get churned out in abundance in hopes of filmmakers turning a quick profit. That's exactly the reason in the 1980s, every single year we got a new Friday the 13th. And I'm not complaining about that, but it's tough to maintain that quality. Coming off the two best entries, in my opinion, in the Child's Play / Chucky saga, could 2013's Curse of Chucky keep this franchise viable and strong for the next generation of viewers? Let's take a look at that. And whenever you see a big house in the middle of nowhere, that's exactly where you don't want to find yourself at any point of a horror film. We get started off there to begin this movie, and we meet Nica, who is a beautiful young woman confined to a wheelchair, played amazingly by Fiona Dourif, who just so happens to be good guy antagonist and horror legend Brad Dourif's real-life daughter. Nica lives at the house with her mother, and she gets a bit of a thrill for the day when a delivery driver shows up with an oddly strange package, and he clearly hits on her. Now, Nica's social calendar probably isn't buzzing at this point. She's out there with her mom and nobody else around them, but she's very happy about that attention that she gets from this gentleman, and the mother quickly dismisses it, which is pretty crushing for her daughter. Now, on top of that, when they start digging into this package that this guy dropped off, they find an oddly intact good guy doll calling himself Chucky. Convinced it's a mistake, the mom just throws it in the trash. Nica hears a scream that night in the middle of the night and goes looking for her mother before finding her lying dead on the floor downstairs, with Chucky sitting in a chair in the corner of the front room. Now, this event is what brings our film's body count in the form of Nica's sister Barb, her husband Ian, their daughter Alice, as well as their scintillating nanny Jill and father Frank. These folks all show up to pay respects for the loss of Nica and Barb's mother. Now, there's strong indications right from the get-go that the husband is banging the nanny, and I have no clue as to why Barb would employ someone that looks like that girl to watch over their daughter when the husband clearly has wandering eyes. There's an underlying scheme for this whole visit, though, and we come to find out that Barb is trying to convince Nica to sign off on selling that house. It turns out Barb and Ian aren't doing as well as they would hope financially. In fact, I think Ian's a barista at this point at Starbucks, which isn't really paying the bills. So ultimately, the hope is that they're going to be able to turn this tragedy into a slightly heftier bank account for them all. The daughter Alice is adorable, and being a little girl, she wanders the house, finds the Chucky doll, and instantly falls in love with it. Now, I liked the look of the doll here. It's clearly different from the movies of the past. The most glaring, obvious reason is he doesn't have stitches all over his face. But I will say there's a couple of scenes where he switches from a docile doll to an angry little killer, and he just kind of looks like a chubby kid staring down at an ice cream cake. I'll post pictures. Now, Barb and Ian clearly have a rocky relationship, and they have a disagreement about the doll. Barb doesn't necessarily want Alice to have this weird looking good guy doll, and Ian tells her, Barb, it's a doll. What's the worst that could happen? Absolutely love that line. And Ian, brother, if you only knew. I got a feeling you're about to find out, though. Now, Barb takes a lot after her mom in minimizing everything Nica does, treating her like she's handicapped. And she is, but nobody wants to be treated that way. And Nica's very independent. She wants to do things her own way. So when she offers to make everybody dinner, Barb scoffs at it, which only means Nica is that much more determined to get it done. And with Alice by her side helping out, naturally Chucky's in the kitchen too, they make what looks to be some pretty impressive looking chili. Only thing is, when they go to set the dinner table, they leave Chucky in there with the chili, and we see his little good guy hand reaching for rat poison and dumping it on one bowl of the 6 bowls of chili. And this scene, when they do this, is great because it's almost like a Russian roulette. They don't really show you who that bowl of chili is getting set down in front of. I thought that was really cool because you're rooting against others getting it, and you're hoping that it's 1 or 2 characters that at this point you're not really all that fond of. Wouldn't you know it, it's the pastor that gets the tainted dinner, crashes his car on the way home, and dies. But back at the house, they're unaware of all of this. Everyone has gathered, and they're watching some old home movies of the kids when they were little and when their mother was pregnant with Nica. And It's sweet. It kind of humanizes Barb for the first time in this movie, because up until this point, she just seems like a robotic bitch. But out of nowhere, though, in this film, this whole movie that they're watching, Charles Lee Ray just pops up in the movie. Huh? That cameo of this clearly crazy looking cat makes Nica a little suspicious of where the doll came from, because this is all unfolding a little strangely. Doll shows up, mom dies, and now we're watching these whole movies together, and this guy is just there. So she makes a phone call in hopes of finding out the origin of the package that showed up, because she still has the label and the tracking number. The phone lines, though, they've been cut, and that's the best kind of way to instill dread in people, especially occupants of a horror film. If you don't have a way to call out from your house, now granted, most of this stuff, it was a lot scarier when there weren't cell phones every 5 feet of the house, but back in the day, this sort of thing really messed with you, and you knew the people you were watching were in some deep trouble. Now, all the movies I've watched, in my 44 years on this earth, I've been swerved a few times, but I can't remember one being as severe as seeing Barb walk into the kitchen and start aggressively making out with Joe. So she's the one banging the nanny. The husband isn't. Got it. Nice turn of events, if I have to say so. So her sister's getting handsy in the kitchen with the help, and Nica gets stuck in the elevator with Chucky on her lap. So this part right here, you're not really sure which way this movie's going to go. Now, we're still pretty sure Nica's going to make it to the end of the film. But what's to really stop Chucky from just getting rid of her right then and there? Fortunately, that doesn't happen. The sister Barb, though, once she helped Nica out of that jam, she really puts her through the paces trying to convince her that she can't take care of herself. And she's obviously doing this to try to get her into this assisted living facility that she wants her to go to so they can sell the house. And for me, she's the worst kind of bitch when she does this, because she does it all and says it all under the veil of caring. And she says some really awful stuff to this girl. Now, I enjoy the way they treat this film almost like the very first Child's Play, because it goes a little bit before we start to actually see Chucky in full form. He's the still silent doll for the better part of the first half of this movie. And we see some good guys sneakers scampering about here and there, but we don't see full-on Chucky until Barb finds him in the attic and starts to peel away the makeup she sees on his face, revealing the battle scars from the past films. That was a great touch. I really popped for that when she started doing that. Thousands upon thousands of horror films, guys, with one glaring constant, and we get a heavy dose of it here with Barb being dumb as dumb can be. She finds a butcher knife tucked away in Chucky's good guy coveralls. She sets Chucky down, and then she lays the butcher knife down right next to him. Stupid horror movie characters are never going to go out of style, and we get a lot of that right here in this scene. So we touched briefly on the wheelchair that Nica is in, and I remember Texas Chainsaw Massacre and feeling like Franklin was just a sitting duck in that thing. And then also in Friday the 13th Part 2 with Mark, being in that wheelchair, not being able to get away, it makes everything a lot more scary, and it ramps it up significantly. And with Nica being in this thing, the whole movie, it just makes every situation that much more dire. And when the bodies start dropping, and this house is essentially being 3 levels once you really factor in the attic, she doesn't have a lot of options as far as where she can get to. And the elevator dies at one point. She has to crawl all the way up the stairs to the attic level where she knows something is wrong. She's done some research. She's found out about the killer doll. She started reading up on this guy that's popping up in her home movies. It's a crazy thought, sure, but nothing else makes sense to Nica at this point. So she crawls all the way up to the attic level, and that's when she sees her sister Barb flying down the stairs dead because she's been cut up, eyes cut out, and then Chucky shows up at the top of the attic stairs. Those slow little strides, because he's got little legs, walking towards her, but it's so effective because no matter how slow he goes, she's not going to be able to get anywhere. Plus, she suffers lacerations and stab wounds to her legs. She doesn't feel anything because they don't work, but good Lord. At one point, she's got an axe wedged in her knee, and you're just thinking, that is gnarly. She makes it work for her, though. The whole plan here for Chucky is to get Nica alone, because Charles Lee Ray, back in his previous life, had a relationship, or there was some sort of obsession with Nica's mom, and She rebuffed him or called the cops on him, and in his anger, he stabbed into her pregnant stomach, causing Nica's paralysis. On top of that, with the mom having called the cops, this is what caused him to be on the run into that toy store, and get shot by our vampire detective, thus causing him to transfer his soul into a good guy doll. They tied that pretty well together, I thought, right then. The final showdown was great, but ultimately Nica ends up being institutionalized because she tells everybody, I didn't kill these people. I know there's dead bodies everywhere, and I'm the only one left, but I didn't do it. It was this little ginger doll over here with the smirk on his face. That's the guy that did it. Now, I don't understand how they don't look more into this, seeing as that's been the story 4 or 5 times across the US. There's been murders, and somebody's blaming this damn doll, but they lock her up in a funny farm. We get a exceptional cameo by Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany in human form, and I loved how they did that as an ode to the open of Bride of Chucky, with the dispatching of the cop with the nail file, the whole thing, gangbusters. This one is a slight step down from the previous 2. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's still going to age gracefully because I really think Fiona Dorff did some amazing work here. I thought the setting inside of a house, I thought that was very cool. It reminded me of sort of that claustrophobic feel of Halloween 4 when they were all locked inside with Michael Myers. You've only got so far you can go. Plus you've got your final girl in a wheelchair. You really don't know what's going to happen there. They did some really good things. The use of Ian, he put a nanny cam inside of Chucky because he suspected his wife of sleeping around with Jill. I mean, no judgment, I might want to see that too, but it gives us some scary shots of Chucky having conversations with Alice and also sneaking up on them when they're reviewing the footage. I thought that was really well done. So I've caught a lot of grief about my love of these films thus far in the review process, and the staying power of what I've seen so far. It's really surprised me. We've got a couple more films to go, and we've got Cult of Chucky coming up next, so let's see where it takes us. But until the next video, I'm Matthew Essex. This is Aging Gracefully. If you would consider subscribing and checking us out on a semi-regular basis, I would be indebted to you, and I'll send my son over to come mow your lawn. That's a guarantee. That's an Essex Aging Gracefully guarantee. It's going to piss him off, though. I'll see you guys on the other side.